Hey guys, welcome into Jewel School. This is our YouTube studio. It's amazing. This is the very first live show ever here on YouTube. We're so excited to do this. We're going to be doing it once a month. I know you guys are excited to see these live demos. We're going to be able to interact with you during the video. So if you're kind of looking here or you've signed in, I see Wendy, Sharon, Beth, Maria, all you guys, let us know who you are and where you're from so that we can answer your questions as we go along. We're going to try to get to all of them. And also, we are going to be giving away the finished pieces at the end of the show. So if you'd let us know who you are and where you're from, we'll put your name in the proverbial hat, draw one out, and guess what? You might be the winner. I see Cheryl is over there. Lots of people in the studio with me today. Cheryl's over there actually writing down names as we speak. I bet she just wrote down Allison K. Oh, Allison, glad you're here. She's so excited. I see Cherie, I bet your name just got written down, and Susie, so I know you're here. This is kind of like we're hanging out in my living room learning how to make jewelry. Cool thing about this is we're going to do one every month, and we're going to offer the supplies in advance. So if you guys pick up the supplies, you can actually make along with me and ask questions just like if you were in a classroom. Also, if you already have some of these types of supplies, pay attention because you can actually use what you have. A lot of questions about this live video and whether it's going to be available later. Yes. Just like all of our YouTube videos, you can watch this anytime you want to later. So save the video. If you guys are not followers of our YouTube channel, please make sure you go over to the Jewel School YouTube page, like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And guess what? We'll notify you every time there's a new video. Live videos once a month, new videos, learning opportunities every Wednesday. It's exciting, right? Now, we did do a lot of research. We asked you guys a lot of questions. What was the first thing you wanted to learn? And so many of you all said, please help us learn how to wrap those pesky cabochons. You know, those beautiful gemstones with no holes? I know, isn't it frustrating? How do you wire wrap these? How do you use them, right? I've got a set of cabochons. They're absolutely beautiful today, and I'm going to ask Julie here in just a second to remind me the name of this particular set, but it is still available online. We have about 88 of these available if you guys want to try them out. But a cabochon is a beautiful gemstone. It's essentially domed on the front and then flat on the back, but there are no holes. So yes, it can be very complicated to wrap them. Anyway, I'm going to show you guys how to do this in two different ways. So this guy right here is going to be done with a half round wire and a 24 gauge to wrap around that. That's pretty cool, like a simple bezel set. And then this one's basically like a little twist wrap, a couple different ways. So you might like one better than the other. And that's fine, but I'm going to give you two different options. How's that sound? Now, Julie's looking at me, so I'm guessing there might be a question in the house. So let me see what's going on back there.
No question. We just want to welcome everybody in and say, hey, and we hope you can see everything that we're going to show you today, and we're just really excited that everyone's here.
Now, Julie is going to be my producer today. She's also the moderator, so if you see Julie's name pop up or Cheryl's name pop up, they are the ones who are answering a lot of the questions, and they'll make sure that I don't miss anything as we go along. And I'm, of course, Susan Thomas. I'm your host of Jewel School, and you know me from hanging out with Katie and Alicia and Robert on the air every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and also from all the videos that we do on YouTube. If you need to learn, if you've never been with us before, folks, we've got hundreds of YouTube videos available. Everything from how to tie a knot, do your stretch cord, all the way into cabochon wrapping. So let me just kind of go ahead and get started here. I'm just going to check in. I see we've got 247 people watching right now. I just want to make sure you remember, like Allison did, to let me know who you are and where you're from so we can give you a chance to win our finished pieces today. Now, Julie, what was the name of this particular set of cabochons again? I'm just checking in with my producer.
This is a lace agate, so it's a really beautiful gemstone. It's a banded form of quartz. And so I've already popped the link up for everybody to grab one if you don't already have it. This is a really, really special gemstone, so if you don't have one, you should get a piece.
You know, I'm looking at the picture here, and I really like our new set, so I'm just going to kind of introduce you guys. We just built out, I say we, and let's just the proverbial we, because I had nothing to do with what Julie and Cheryl and all of you guys did here, but I did make some of the pieces. So we just kind of set this up. This is our maker's studio. We've got all of our tools and everything here. Julie was very creative with a lot of things that she did. I love the tool stand. I don't understand how she did this, but she seems to have turned a drawer upside down and turned it into a tool stand. And we're creative people. I think we need to know these creative ideas, right? It's so cool. But anyway, welcome in. I hope you guys like it. I'm going to get started, and I'm going to do this bezel wrap right here first. This is done on a piece of turquoise. I did it a long time ago with some bare copper wire. I like this because I feel like it's a really good cold connection, and it feels very professional and different to me. So we're going to do that first, and then we'll go to the twist wrap. I'm going to start out with one of these purple lace agate cabochons, and I'm just going to use a teardrop shape. Now, there is no, you don't have to use a teardrop. You can use an oval. You can use a different shape. I find either an oval or a teardrop to be the easiest to get started with wrapping. So if you've never wrapped one before, you might want to try to pick up an oval or a teardrop before you start with some irregular shape or a square or anything like that. And I'm excited about this. Let's see. Hey, Linda. Hey, Nellie. Oh, Nellie likes the backdrop. And Nancy was asking if we could buy this, if you guys could buy the supplies. Yes, everything I'm going to be using today is available. For instance, to do this particular piece, I'm going to go ahead and get started with a half-round copper wire. And Julie, my producer, is going to put a link into the chat there for you guys to pick this up. And it'll always be with the video, so you'll always know it's there. Don't worry about writing it down right now if you don't want to. Now, this half-round wire is kind of essential to this first project because a half-round wire has a flat inside edge. So the outside is rounded and the inside is flat. So it basically grabs the outside of the cabochon. You can kind of see I have one sort of started right here, a couple of them. And let me just kind of not get my head in the way and show you guys, because I want to make sure you see all the wire and not the top of my head. If you just look at this, you can see that the inside edge of this is flat. And so that's going to grab onto the edge of the cabochon, and then the outside edge is rounded. Pretty cool, right? All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take this, and I'm just going to move some of these cabochons out of the way, and we're going to focus on this one right here. I picked copper because if you guys see in this purple agate, do you see that kind of pink stripe that's coming down? Look how cool that copper looks. Is that not kind of an amazing color combination? I think it's really neat. Gosh, I've got 2 people from Sydney, Australia. That's so neat. We're international today. I'm 3 people from Sydney. And the UK? Cool. Thank you so much, Charlene. I appreciate you. I love YouTube Live. To me, I like doing these live videos because I feel like it's kind of just like inviting you guys into my classroom. And I love to teach. I actually always thought when I was growing up that I was going to be some sort of a teacher. I don't know why it didn't happen. Oh, here I am teaching you. So I see, I sort of am. Julie, my producer, seems to have another question. So let's see what she's got over there.
This doesn't really have anything to do with the pendant, but somebody's asking about the oval or round mandrel bracelet. What's your favorite? Which one should they get?
Both.
That's what I say.
There's not a mandrel that I will tell you not to have. If you only can get one, okay, say you're out there, oh, I can only get one mandrel. Round, always round. Because you can make oval shapes on the round if you follow me and watch. You can learn. All right.
That was from 12 Almond 1, just so we can tell everybody.
All right, so who asked that question?
12 Almond 1.
I see 12 Almond 1. I want to know who that really is. It's like is that like a code name, 12 Almond 1? You know, it's like my name is 0012 Almond 1. Okay, sorry, I couldn't help it. Anyway, that's a good question. Rosemary just asked, what is dead soft wire? Okay, well, I'm working with dead soft wire today, so that's very relevant. Basically, wire comes in different tempers, and basically, let's just go like small, medium, and large. Soft or dead soft, medium or half hard, and hard or full hard. So you can just go soft, medium, hard if you want to. Dead soft wire is just going to be the softest and the easiest to bend. So when you're working with a copper or a sterling, it's very common for it to be dead soft. As you work with the wire, it will work harden so that it'll hold its shape a little better. I always call soft wire the snuggly wire. That's the wire that kind of snuggles up against your beads, and half hard or full hard wire is going to be the wire that forms the shape that you wrap it around. So the soft wire follows the hard wire. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tool. This is a kind of a mandrel. It's called a wrap and tap plier. We do sell these here at Jewel School. I happen to have sold them out just the other day, so I don't think we have any in stock. But if we do, it's a tool I always recommend for people who are beginning to do wire work. So what I'm going to do is just kind of use that large barrel on this to form a U shape in my wire. So see how I did that? Kind of starting that, and that's going to be the bottom of the piece. And from there, I will then wrap this around the cabochon base. That just kind of got me started. Press it in there, and then wrap this kind of around the edge of that piece, and then wrap the other side around the edge so that it forms, and I'll just kind of hold it out for you guys, around the edge of that cabochon. Does that make sense? So let me get that guy in there. You might have to press it a little bit, and because it's a soft wire, you're going to be able to kind of work it and press it around the edges to finish it off. So now, see, you saw me, I just pushed that with my fingers. If that was a half hard wire or a medium temper wire, what would have happened would be it basically would spring back out. So if you think about the harder the wire, the springier it is, that kind of helps you with tempers of wire. Allison's digging around in her wire box for some half-round wire. Now this half-round wire I'm using is a 14 gauge half-round wire, or it may even be a 12 gauge. So the heavier the gauge with half-round, the better off you are for this project. You're welcome, Donna. I'm so glad to be here. Okay, so one thing I forgot to do, there's always something, right? Before I get to this point, I actually need to texturize the outside of this wire. And the reason I'm going to texturize it is because I found that when I did the wrapping with the 24 gauge around, it wasn't grabbing or holding in place where I wanted it to, so I needed some texture on the outside of the wire to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tool. Now this tool is available. It's a rotary tool. I know it's available because we sold it today on Jewel School, and there were still about 100 of them left when I finished the show. And I think that Julie's going to put the link in the chat for you guys. And so you can already see I've already got this one a little bit texturized. So, but what you do is you just put one of the cutting wheels into the end of this, and then you just turn it on. I'm going to put my glasses on just because safety glasses are important, and just going to pull my hair back out of the way because I'm not going to do a lot of this, but I just want to show you guys how to do it. You turn it on, and then you're just going to texturize this wire and add a little texture to it. Now, you can also do that with a hammer. Like if you guys have a texturizing hammer at home, you can actually do it with a file. There's a lot of different things you can do it with. You don't have to have a rotary tool. Do I recommend a rotary tool? Absolutely recommend a rotary tool. It just makes it so much faster. And then the other thing I want to do is I like to oxidize my copper wire. It's one of my favorite reasons to work with copper wire, because that kind of, if you look at the edge of this, see how you can see the darker and lighter places on that? That's because I oxidized it. And every place that I texturized it is darker than the rest of the wire. Beautiful, beautiful look to add. So I'm just going to take some liver of sulfur gel, and that's what this is right here. I don't know if we have this in stock right now, but if we do, Julie will drop it into the comments. You can find this stuff everywhere. Look it up. It's not hard to find. If you don't want to get any liver of sulfur, it's so hard to say. If you don't want to get any liver of sulfur, what you can do is you can actually, and this is so silly, but you can do this. You can go in your refrigerator, get some eggs, hard boil them, put them in a container, and then from there you can actually put your copper in with those eggs, and it'll do the same thing. Isn't that weird? Weird jewelry facts that you don't know. Or you can leave it outside if you want to. That would take even longer, but I personally like the liver of sulfur gel. So
I have a question from Sheila.
all right, Sheila's asking me a question, so I want to make sure you guys know that I am following along. And Julie, what's the question?
Sheila's asking, says, because it is a soft wire, will it change over time as you wear it? So will the stone, basically, will it fall out if you wear it over time?
No, that's why this is not going to. This is going to be very sturdy. So essentially, the reason I'm putting the texturizing around the outside, it's going to make it a very sturdy piece. But honestly, it wouldn't matter whether it was soft, hard, or medium. If I didn't do a good job wrapping it, that's what would make it fall out. Not whether it's soft or whether it's half hard or whether it's full hard. That honestly, it's your design or your engineering and your construction, not the hardness of the wire. Soft just means it bends easier. And honestly, the better it bends, the closer you're going to be able to get it to your cabochon and the tighter it will be. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Where can she get the tool I'm holding? Which tool was I holding, Crafty? Crafties, I think you might have been asking about this. We have these available, and I believe Julie just dropped the link in. The Wrap and Tap, I'm hoping we get some of these back in stock really soon, and we may even have a few online. I'm just going to say jtv.com is a great place to pick up all your jewelry supplies and tools, and most everything that I'm working with today, including the wire and the cabochons, are available there. All right, so let me make sure I pick up the right one, the one I texturized. And I'm going to dip this into the liver of sulfur. Let me make sure I've got my little napkin here because I don't want to get it on my hands. So you can see it's really, really shiny right now. I will dip this down in here and let it sit just for a couple minutes. And this is a 12 gauge wire, folks. It is a soft, half round 12 gauge wire. Now you can see that. See how it darkened up? Kind of cool, right? And then I'm just going to wipe that off. Now, liver of sulfur does smell like sulfur. Everybody in this room is not very happy right now, but you know, we aim to please here at Jewel School. Making jewelry is not always pretty. It's not always clean and neat, but it's always fun. So you can see now I'm just using steel wool. I just picked this up at your neighborhood home improvement store, and I'm just kind of wiping off some of that liver of sulfur and leaving the shiny wire on top. And then you can see where all that pretty oxidization just kind of colored in the wire. So I'm just taking that and wiping off the extra liver of sulfur. It just softens up the color. There was a lot of extra stuff there. There you go. Pretty neat, right? All right. Now, okay, sure. Myra said my hands were going out of the frame on top, so I'm just going to hold that right there in the center. They told me to aim for the box. So I'm going to put this right here because that's apparently where the box is. That's my, my guide. All right, so we haven't really done anything except shape the wire yet. So there's your wire. Next step is going to be to kind of shape the top of it. You can see I've got one right here that I've already shaped. And so essentially I like to use a flat nose plier to do this, using my cabochon as a guide. I'm just going to kind of hold that all together and then just grip this at the top right here and just squeeze those into a V. Super easy. So see how I made that? It just kind of brings it together at the top. So that is, you're basically at this point done with your half round wire as far as what we're going to do with that. So now I'm going to take some round wire. Now this is going to be a 24 gauge. It's still a bare copper. It's still a dead soft wire. And I'm just going to pull myself off a couple feet. I like to use quite a bit of this because I like to do a lot of wrapping with it. So I will just clip that off. Now I'm using just some para-wire, folks. I love para-wire. I love the quality of their wire. I'm really excited about working with para-wire. I always love working with para-wire and love their bare copper wire. So I'm just going to take this liver of sulfur again. This is just a shiny wire. I'm just going to dip that down into that liver of sulfur. Get my napkin again. See, it's really fast. Now, liver of sulfur is kind of cool. It works for sterling silver. It also works for your bare copper wires. It works the fastest on copper and a little slower on sterling silver. It works faster if you heat it. I do not have it heated. For copper, you really don't have to heat it up. All right, so I'm just drying that off a little bit. And then I'm going to take this and unravel it. Am I doing better, Myra? All right, and then I'm just going to run my steel wool over that. That's it. So that's ready to go. One thing also, Sheila, you were asking about the wire and losing its shape, etc., is as you work with a wire like this, a soft wire, the more you work it, the harder it will become. So by the time I'm done working with this wire, it will be harder than it was when I started, if that makes sense. So every time you hit, hammer, or move, or manipulate your wire, it hardens it up. And I always explain this, it's so confusing. People are like, how does that work? Well, think about a bunch of little crystals inside the wire. Okay, think of your wire as a bunch of little crystals, and they're all loose, just kind of laying out, or like sand, let's call it grains of sand, okay? And they're kind of loose, they're all over the place. As you press it or compress it or hit it or hammer it, they basically get compressed closer and closer together. The closer together they get, the harder the wire. That makes sense, right? Okay, good. JJ says it makes sense. He is like in charge. So there we go.
I have a couple of more questions for you,
Oh gosh,
Susan.
the questions abound. Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so Miss Nancy wants to know more about oxidizing. She says, why don't you oxidize your piece at the end after you've made it? And I think that's a great question.
Okay. The reason I oxidize at the beginning is because I like how the wire changes and polishes up in places with when the oils from my fingers hit it. Some people like a darker look, and so for that reason you would oxidize at the end. Other reasons, sometimes you have stones that are very porous. Think about a pearl. I really don't want to stick my pearl in liver of sulfur. I just don't. And so, so I do that first. The other reason is because where you oxidized, if you can't get to it with your steel wool, if it's on the inside of the piece, you're always going to have a little bit of that corrosive liver of sulfur on the inside of the piece, even if you wash it. And I just don't like the idea of liver of sulfur hanging around with me all the time. It's really personal preference. Can you dip it at the end? These stones, super hard. Go ahead and dip them. Totally fine. It's really personal preference. That's just how I like to do it. And I mean, I know I do have some rules for jewelry making, but there's really no rule. You guys, if you could see the bin full of people's names right now for the giveaway at the end, it is crazy.
Our next question is, we know you're not a measurer, Susan, we know this, you've said this over and over and over, but some people are asking if you can give some general lengths for the wires we're cutting, please.
All right, so I used about 6 inches of wire for this particular piece, and then my cabochon, if I had a ruler, it might help actually. Look at me looking back. Oh, yes. I love this new studio. It's so cool. Okay, so yeah, like look how good I am at measuring. I just guessed that was 6 inches. 6 inches. My cabochon, here's my cabochon. Top to bottom, that is going to be right at about 1 1/4 inches. So if you're using 1 inch to 1.5 inches cabochon, 6 inches about the right amount of half round wire. And then I guessed I used about 2 feet of my 24 gauge, and I'll measure it, and I am actually 1/2 inch shy of 2 feet. So you guys wonder why I don't measure? It's because my mind automatically measures. I know it's weird, but it just does. Very strange. Okay, so here we go. What we're going to do now is we're going to start wrapping this. Any other questions before I go on?
Yeah, what do you do anything to seal this wire before you, so it keeps its color?
If you want this to keep its color, you can use, there's actually a sealer that I really like. It's called, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Protect-A-Clear is one of my favorites. Actually, I believe we have carried it in the past on jtv.com, but I know you can get it other places as well. If you don't have Protect-A-Clear, you can go and get any acrylic sealer at any hardware store and it will work. You can seal it before you use it, or you can seal it after. A cabochon like this, it's really not going to hurt it for you to spray the top of it a little bit, or you can put like something called resist or tape over the top of your stone and then spray just the wire. So, I do use that a lot because I like my patinas to stay. And if you like your copper wire shiny, unlike me, then you're definitely going to want to use something like an acrylic sealer. All right, so that was a good question. I'm glad you guys are learning a lot. This could take a while. Let's see here. Lots of you guys watching. I'm glad to have you. Susie says Protect-A-Clear is awesome. I agree. It's good stuff. All right. Sometimes I have a hard time finding the spray Protect-A-Clear, and I like the spray. What happened? I did hit the bit. I don't know where it went. It's all the way down there. Okay, stop looking at me. Wait a second. I'm going to turn around and fix my mic. I got it. Okay. You know what? It's a live video, folks. I'm fixing my microphone. Here we go. Oh. All right. So, boom. Done. Fixed. Everybody's happy now. Okay, here we go. So, next step, what you're going to do is you're going to start doing the wrapping. I'm just going to put this right here. You can see there's that wrapping up at the top, and I clipped off the pieces that go over the cabochon. But I started without having the cabochon in place. And so what I'm going to do is just, this is very important, folks. You see how I kind of laid that 24 gauge wire over the half round 12 gauge wire? That's my tail. It is also my handle. So you're going to need a handle. If you don't give yourself a handle, it's very difficult to wrap the wire. A lot of people always try to start wrapping with the very tip because they don't want it to show, and it's impossible. So give yourself a tail. We all look cute with tails. So here we go. Then you're just going to start wrapping around. I'm going to wrap it around just a few times like that. And then my tail, I'm just going to push it to the back to get it out of the way. And so you can see I now have kind of connected my two wires up at the top. You guys seeing what I'm doing okay? Thanks, Nancy. Oh. All right, and then let's just make sure our little cabochon slips right in there. It should. I usually like to slip it in from the back because it's rounded on the front. And so you want a nice, see how that's a nice tight fit. I'm just going to push that down just a little bit. Now because I've texturized the wire on the side, that wire up there at the top is really going to kind of hold in place. Now from there, you're going to take this wire and you're just going to wrap it around the cabochon. And you guys can do this as many times as you want. Just make sure you wrap tightly and you go down to that kind of almost bulbous part of the cabochon where it gets a little bit larger and then a little bit smaller, and wrap it tightly around there. And then you're going to go back up from the bottom. This is what's going to be holding this in here. So really, honestly, the more wraps, the better. So I'm going to go about 6, 7, 8 wraps. Like so. So see how that's now that's held in there front to back, and I am going to tighten this up here in just a second, so don't anybody start worrying, because if you see it's a little loosey-goosey, I'll be able to tighten that up in just a minute. All right, so now I'm just going to take the extra wire. I'm going to trim off my tail, get that out of the way because I want to cover that up. I'll take a chain nose or a flat nose plier and press down that little tail, and you finish it off up here at the top just with kind of, I call them like a wacky wrap or a messy wrap, just to kind of give yourself just a fun little finish on the piece, like so. And if you don't like the way it looks, the cool thing about soft wire is you can kind of undo that a little bit and do it again. I'm actually going to undo that because I want to kind of make it just a little bit more all together. So I'm going to press that down. See how I just kind of pressed the wire? One of the things I always say about wire, folks, is you have to be the boss of your wire, or else the wire will be the boss of you. So right now I'm being a little bit bossy with it. So see, I'm just going to pull these down, and pull this down just a little bit. Now I'm going to tighten that up in just a second, but before I do that, I'll show you guys how to make the bail. So what you're going to do is pull this down to one side, like so. Pull it down to the other side, just like that. And the reason I'm doing this bail now is because this piece will be tighter if I do the tightening after I finish the bail. So I'm going to clip this off on one side. I am going to take a round nose plier and I'm going to roll this into, now if you want to, if you guys have a file at home, you can take your file right here and file that little end if you want to. You do not have to. It's not going to be touched or felt because it's on the inside. And then you take this other one and you just kind of circle it around the first one, just like so. It's kind of pretty, isn't it? Circle around the first one. Trim it off. Always use a good flush cutter for anything like this. This is one of my favorites, lovingly known as plier number 61. It's a beetle-on tool made in Italy. I love it. 100% worth it. And then just press that piece in right there up against the first one. So see how that looks from the front. And then in a second I'm going to finish wrapping this, but I'm just going to get that out of the way. Now on the back is where I like to tighten this up. I don't like to tighten it up on the front because I like to leave those wires looking kind of simple and pretty. So I'm going to start from the bottom, and I'm going to take my flat nose plier and I'm just essentially going to twist these wires like so. So twist, 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 and as you twist them, they take up the space that you had in the front. And just kind of keep twisting all the way up to the top, and make sure you get all of them. So that little guy was trying to hide from me. So I twist that and see how that kind of tightened up on the front. And I've still got just a little bit up here. I'm probably gonna have to work on this just a little bit later. I'm probably gonna have to do just a little bit of twisting on the front to get up this wire unless I can find him. Let me see if I can find him now that I've twisted. Well, that was the beginning. Yeah?
So would you be able to just hold that up a little bit closer to the camera? If you raise it up, I think we can see, just show everybody all sides real quick.
Let me just kind of go back just 1 second because see how I got just a little bit loose on the top right there? I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. So one of the other nice things about working with this softer wire, folks, oops, there goes my cabochon. Softer wire is the ability to kind of go back. And so I'm just going to kind of go back. And what I did that I didn't like is I should have looked at both the front and the back as I wrapped this, and I'm used to being able to do that, but I wasn't paying attention. There we go. So I'm bringing that across, and I'm just kind of pulling on my wire a little bit to straighten it back out as I go. Dun, dun, dun. And bring this back up to the top, like so, and then wrap. There we go. So a little bit tighter. And so then I'll go back across the back and do the twisting. Right here, right here, right here, and right there. That looks a little bit better. And then I'll finish that top one. Just a little bit tighter that time. And then I'm going to finish off the top with a good wrap. And so this is where my messy wrap comes in, and I want to use a little bit of this wire to kind of cover up that last little bit of that part right there. Finish it off. Ta-da! And then I will give it a trim. Always make sure that you, when you trim that off, that you take either a chain nose. I like a chain nose for this because see that little sharp wire, and just press it into those other wires. And what you can do is kind of feel right here. If you feel anything sticking out, then you're going to want to press it again, and then you can press those wires over that end just so you don't have those. And so then let me show you guys this. Somebody just asked to see this from all angles. Now you can see I've got just a little bit of almost like call it a blemish right there. So what I can do is I can take this and I can just do a little bit of these little lightning bolt twists on the front just to add a little bit of texture or difference to the piece. And that's just all personal preference. You just want to grab it with the flat nose and give it a twist just to add a little bit more texture to the front. You can go all the way down. You can do some of them or none at all. It's just up to you. It depends on how tight your wraps get. But so there's the back. And there's the side, and there's the front right now. And then you just add a jump ring, put it on a chain, and voila, you've got yourself a cute little wire wrapped cabochon. Now listen guys, I don't want you to worry about it being perfect. This is not a perfect piece. I mean, it just isn't. I'm doing it live, and I'm standing here on, and some things happened that I wasn't 100% happy with, but honestly, it's beautiful. It's a pretty piece. It's gonna hold together, and maybe if it's your very first one, maybe yours doesn't even turn out as well as this one, Maybe the first one looks kind of crazy. Well, you know what? That one you keep for yourself. You wear it. People are going to start seeing it. They're going to ask you about it. They're going to like it. They're going to love the look of the copper wire with this pendant. They're going to notice the cabochon, not whether every wrap you made is perfect. Does that make sense? So don't beat yourself up. You can make jewelry. It's fun. You can wrap cabochons. They don't have to be perfect. Nobody out here, well, I'm not a perfectionist. Well, okay, maybe I am. But I mean, I might rewrap mine. You know what? But how many times copper wire is so inexpensive, it comes out to like 11 cents a foot or something. You literally could take the whole thing apart, start over again, and you've wasted 22 cents of your time. But you learned, right? So you saw me unwrap and rewrap. Do it. You guys can do this. It's fun. All right, I got questions from all kinds of angles here. So Julie, what's the question?
Okay, so people are asking about parawire specifically, and what is the difference between parawire and other wires? Is there a difference?
Quality. It's just quality, folks. What I've learned about craft wires as a jewelry maker is you can go out and you can buy craft wire a lot of places, but most craft wire, when you work with it, tends to strip, it tends to peel, it tends to change colors. And I found that Parawire is one of the top quality craft wires that you can work with. And so I love Parawire. I love that Jewel School carries Parawire because I love to work with it. So I specifically look for Parawire when I look for wire. There's other companies that do wire as well, that do wire really well. I just know the quality of this, so I will always recommend it. Does that make sense? Perfect. Next question.
So what kinds of wire can you put in liver of sulfur? Is bare copper the only thing that you can, only wire that you can put in a liver of sulfur?
No, if you, oxidizing wires, now anything that says tarnish resistant, just forget it. Don't put it in the liver of sulfur because it won't happen. Any bare copper wire, like if it says bare copper, it will work. Any sterling silver. You can also use fine silver in there, so that'll work. I believe you can probably use brass as well, and maybe even bronze. I haven't tried bronze, but as long as it doesn't have a coating on it, you can get that really pretty patina. Oh, thanks, Susie. I like that. And somebody's asking if if we could zoom in a little bit. I don't know if there's any way to zoom in any closer, but I'll let you guys, I'll just show you kind of, these are some stages of the process here. If you guys want to kind of look at some of the stages of that process, it kind of helps you. Barbara agrees with me. She loves Parawire. Sharon says, this is the fun of learning to work with wire. Even your mistakes can be beautiful. One of the things I love about copper also is that you can actually polish it. You can actually use your rotary tool to polish out. Like if you made an ugly mark, but you love the way the whole thing looks and you want to keep it, you can actually polish that wire. Pretty cool. All right. So, oh, thanks, Deb. You're so sweet. Thank you, Janice. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm so excited. This is good. Shall I show you another way to wrap cabochons? Maybe you didn't like that. Maybe that's too labor intensive. Maybe you're just like, oh, Susan, can you give me something easier? Well, you're in luck. I have an easier way to do it. So this is one of my personal favorite ways to wrap them. It's basically called, I call it just a twist wrap. It is a very, it's somewhat imperfect looking, except it looks beautiful. So this one's kind of an imperfect one that I did on the air one day, but it just looks really pretty, and they wrap your cabochons beautifully, and I love this copper wire with it. It's easy, it is quick, and if you, you know, like I always say, when I'm in a nice quiet room by myself underneath my ot light, mine are all perfect. But they don't have to be perfect. Nothing has to be perfect, folks. Once you learn how to do this, you're going to become addicted to cabochons. Lee says sometimes, actually I think that's Myra. Myra says sometimes copper says raw as well. Raw or bare will take liver of sulfur, sterling silver, and argentium. Yes. It's hard to see how I twisted the back wire. I'm not sure which cabochon we're talking about, but I will show you. Right there. Actually, the back and the front look very similar. All right, put this guy to the side. So I'm going to use kind of a different shape to do the twist wrap, folks. I'm going to use this kind of almost like a heart-shaped cabochon. And somebody said they bought some round lapis cabochons. Would these be harder to do? Oh, you know, probably. I mean, just being honest with you, I mean, I think it's easier to start with a teardrop, but round will definitely work. Just I think that it's not going to be as easy. One of the things I find about wire is it's kind of amazing what you can do with it, and if you practice, you might discover an easier way to do it that I haven't even thought of, and you might be sharing that with me someday. So you can do it with any shape, though. Any shape at all. All right, I see I've got Mary Z from Michigan is watching. She loves Jewel School, so happy to find the live chat. Isn't it fun to do live shows? You guys like it? We're going to be doing one of these every single month. Next month is going to be Katie. I know she's doing earrings. I guess it's a surprise because I haven't seen them yet, but we will be notifying you guys, and we'll be giving you guys links to all the products if you want to have everything in advance so you can kind of play along with us. The other thing is I would recommend going to our Jewel School YouTube page, like, subscribe, ring the bell, because we'll notify you anytime we have a live show. So that's pretty nice. All right, so now next step here is what we're going to do is we're going to be doing this twist wrap. Guys, that's like this one. This is one I'm kind of having progress right here. You can kind of see that I've been working on that. So what you're going to do is you're only going to use 24 gauge wire. Now I am not going to oxidize this wire. If you want your wire to stay shiny, I recommend Parawire's tarnish resistant copper wire. Then you don't have to worry about getting any type of sealer or anything like that, because copper wire is going to oxidize, and if you don't like that, you probably want a tarnish resistant wire. I love it. It's just one of the things about being me. I just love it when it changes color. So, okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to then take this wire. I call it a twist wrap because what you do is you twist the wire together. And the key, just always remember to do everything in threes. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the wire and you're going to make an X at the bottom of the wire. And I have, oh, everybody likes me to measure. Wait a second. First of all, 24 gauge wire. Susan Thomas, yes, I'm not a big measurer, so let's measure. Here we go. 24 gauge wire is a great gauge, folks. I'm using about 14 inches of each one of these wires. 24 gauge is a great gauge to work with. It's kind of a medium size gauge. If you guys have never worked with wire, I recommend you get 2 gauges, 20 and 24. Those are going to get you started. They're going to make your ear wires. They're going to allow you to make shapes and also to wrap a lot of different things. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take these 2 wires and you're going to form an X. Let me get some things out of the way here so you guys can see. You're just going to form an X in the center. And you're going to twist. So twist, twist, twist. See, I got 3 twists right there. Now I'm actually going to twist this 3 more times because this is the bottom. So like I said, do everything in threes. So I'm going to twist it 3 more times. Twist, twist, twist. Just like so. So you have a little bit longer twist at the bottom. And the reason I do that is because you can see on this one how it's kind of wrapped around the bottom of the stone. And I like the look of the twist on there. So that's why I do them a little bit longer. So what you're going to do then is find the center of your stone, and you're just going to kind of wrap this up and around the bottom of the stone, creating a V on the front and a V on the back, like so. And then you bring 2 wires to the side and 2 wires to the other side. The hardest part about this is getting it even, and normally I am like right up in the face of my work, guys, but we're doing a live video and you need to see my hands, so I can't get as close to it as I want to, so I'm just going to have you guys forgive me if it's not 100% straight. We are going to be giving away the finished pieces today, but if, I will tell you also right now, if they're not perfect, I will take them back to my desk and remake them, so don't worry, you're going to get a perfect piece. All right, next step. Oh, glad to have you, Little Sprite. What a cute name. I like that. You are so welcome, Mary. I'm happy to do it. All right, now, next step is you're going to go off to the side, one side or the other. Try to center your wire at the middle there, and then hold this, pull it tight to the side of the cabochons, create another X. See my X right there? And you're going to take this and you are going to do what? Twist 3 times. So twist, 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 just like so. Press it up against the side of the cabochon. Go to the other side, bring the 2 wires together, twist, twist, get that guy out of the way, twist, press up against the side of the cabochon. Pretty, right? The twists look pretty. They look really pretty if you oxidize your wire as well. I did not oxidize this time. We're just keeping it shiny. All right, so we're now going to come to the center of the piece. You're going to take those 2 wires in the back and bring them together, 2 wires in the front and bring those together, just like so. And I'll go to the back first, bring those 2 wires, and you're going to do that twist again. So kind of try to get it as tight as you can, and twist, 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 press it up, and then do the same thing in the front. Let me get it nice and tight here. Get my wires out of the way. Can you guys see? So you can see what I'm doing. So we're just going to take this, get it nice and tight. Now Alicia does this all the time and she does a great job at it. She's kind of one of the ones that got me all excited about doing this particular technique. I love her. She is such a great designer. I'm sure she's going to be doing one of these live videos as well. Can't get my fingers out of the way there. Twist, 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 and bring that up and this up. to the top. A little twist came undone. There we go. And pull that to the top of the cabochon. I'm going to switch out to this one right now just so you guys can see, because I did a little bit better job on this one. So when you get to the top, you've got your twist. See your twist on either side, your twist down on the bottom, and then you just gather all those wires together at the tip. That makes sense? So I just switched cabochons, same shape. I just got a little off right there, so I'm using one that I did a little bit earlier. And so we're just going to gather all the wires together, all 4 of them. It's 24 gauge, so it's not too thick. To make a quick bail out of these, I'm just going to grab the tip all together with my round nose plier and bend that back into a 90-degree angle. Make sure you guys can see that. I like to make a relatively larger bail with this just because it's a lot of wire. And then you just bring this around and wrap. Now when you have a lot of wires like this to deal with, the best thing to do is to not try to wrap all 4 of them all at the same time and finish all 4 at the same time. So I'll wrap a couple times with that wire, and then I will take one wire and finish it off on one side. Press it down with my chain nose plier. This is just a finishing tip from me to you guys. Take another wire, bring it around. Now I'm covering up that little tip that I just made, but I'll end that on the other side. Trim it off. Make sure you use a good flush cutter. Get your glasses on, get under your light, whatever you have to do to make sure you see that little tip. Make sure that it's pressed in. Feel with your finger. You never want to feel like a little pokey part right there. This one I'm going to end at the back, right there, just underneath my bail, because that'll be an easy place for me to press that in and hide it. And then this last piece that's a little bit longer, I'm going to use that as my finisher, my closer if you will, and just kind of finish it all off, cover up all those little ends. So now I only have one end that's on the outside that I'm going to have to deal with to hide. So I'll just press that into the back or side of my piece. And I always like to kind of press it in with my chain nose plier, feel with my finger, and if you can, press it in really good and then squeeze a couple other wires over the top of it. It's a great way to hide that little pesky piece of wire, because nobody wants to wear a piece of jewelry that has a wire that's poking them in the chest or the arm or the hand or anything like that. And so one of the things I always say about jewelry is one of the most important things above and beyond everything else is that it's wearable, that I can put it on and be comfortable wearing it. So there, that is basically ready to add to a chain. And so you can see at the back, what I've done here is I tightened it up on the back using that same kind of technique where I just took this piece and just twisted it into what I like to call lightning bolts, just to tighten it up. And I do this a lot on the back of these pieces. Let me look at this one. So I haven't done it on this one so you guys can see if I needed to, and this one actually ended up great. I didn't have to tighten it, but if I needed to, what I do is I always use a flat nose. See how it's got that flat tip on it? I use a flat nose, and then I just take this and I just twist it like so.
Susan, I have a couple of questions if you're...
I'm ready.
Okay, so one is from Rocky.
Hey, Rocky.
And he's asking an interesting question. Can you use gold-filled wire for this project?
100%. Yes. Now this project's kind of great. You can use any 24 gauge wire you want to. You can use craft wire, you can use sterling silver wire, you can use argentium wire, you can use copper wire, you can use 14 karat gold if you want to. I wouldn't recommend that because it would be very expensive, and but you can, absolutely. And you can see, like on this one, see how this is the same type of a bail. I just used a little bit more wire on this one, but see how I put the bail the other direction on that one? It's just a different way to do it. So this one, it's front to back. That one, it's side to side. It's really, really an easy technique, and I feel like after you guys do this a couple times on cabochons, you'll find that it becomes a lot easier and a lot more fun. Any other questions?
Yeah, speaking of the bail, I think you may have just addressed it, but Delisa was asking if you could make the swirl in the front instead of in the back.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do, I mean, there's just so many different things. If you're, I do recommend using a finer gauge wire to do this one. This is 24 gauge wire that I use to do that. You can do it with a heavier gauge wire like a 20. or a 22, but the twisting is going to be more difficult. You're going to have to, you're probably going to have to use some tools to do some of that twisting and to also do the finishing. And then also there's the hiding of your wires that becomes an issue when you have a heavier gauge wire. But with the 20 gauge wire, you could make like a cool little swirl on the front to finish it off, maybe to make it a little sturdier. If you will. Obviously the bigger the wire, the sturdier the piece. So that's just another tip that you can use when you're working with these. Any other questions?
Where else other than YouTube can people find you?
Oh, that's a good question. All right, so once again, my name is Susan Thomas. I am basically the host of Jewel School, which is a show that is on a channel called JTV. Now, you don't have to watch JTV on TV. You can watch it on jtv.com. You can watch it on our app on your phone or on your tablet. It's called JTV Go. We are on every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. On Sundays, we are on at 8 a.m. I know. But it's a good quiet time and nobody's ever watching the TV at that time. 8 a.m. Eastern time. On Monday and Tuesday, we're on at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And on Wednesday, we're on at 12. Now, also on Mondays, I do a live show called The Circle, which features a secret stash, which is really cool. I do that on jtv.com/extra. You can always find that show on the Jewel School Facebook page. I find the Jewel School Facebook page to be a great place to kind of find us. It kind of then links you. I would love it if you guys would follow me either on JTV Susan or if you'd follow me on The Circle with Susan Thomas, because there is so much information that goes out from those two pages that will lead you to wherever I am. And then I think our YouTube page, honestly, our YouTube channel is one of the best learning experiences that you guys can have, because it's several of us as artists. I know Alicia is on there, Katie is on there. They're two of my co-hosts on Jewel School, incredible artists. I know our newest Jewel Schooler, Laura, is going to be on there as well, and she's an incredible artist as well. And folks, we have hundreds of videos that you can watch. You can search them anytime, you can watch them anytime, you can stop them, you can start them, and they're just amazing. It's a wealth of information about jewelry making, everything from soldering to tying a knot. So it's just everything there. But that's how you guys can find me. Easiest way to communicate with me is on my JTV Susan Facebook page. All right, so I think we're gonna wrap it up. I know that we are going to actually give some things away. I'm going to remind you guys that if you want to be notified of all these live videos and also of our new videos on YouTube every Wednesday, please go on our Jewel School YouTube page. It's basically just go to YouTube, search Jewel School, sign up, make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you ring that bell. You'll know everything. All right, so it looks like Cheryl's going to hand me a big bowl full of names so I can give away these cabochons. Now, I am going to take these back to my desk and just kind of pretty them up a little bit for you guys, and I will include either a leather thong or something for you guys to wear it. I'll finish that up today. Have it to Julie within a couple days. Is that good, Julie? She's my producer. She's really in charge. I'm just here. All right. Thank you, Susie. She says, every time I watch, I learn something new. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, Kathleen. Yeah, we have some great guests this month. It's National Crafters Month. How many? 2? I get to draw 2 names. National Crafters Month. So that's really cool that you guys have opportunities to see a lot of extra guests this month. So if you're one of those people that really, really likes the guest, I've got Wyatt White coming up this Sunday. Tomorrow I have Laura from, next week I have Laura from Weber's. Who do I have tomorrow? Well, it's going to be a surprise for all of us, but it's a guest. So, all right, here we go. So Kelly W. from Tennessee is going to win the first cabochon that I wrapped right here. And Robin M. from Pennsylvania is going to win the second cabochon I wrapped.
So the winners, we would like you to send your name, your state, and your email address, and your actual physical address to livestream@jewelschool.com.
Okay, did
and
you guys catch that?
we will get those out into the mail for you.
So Kelly W. and Robin M., you need to send your name, address, and phone number to livestream at jtv.com.
At jewelschool.com.
Live stream at jewelschool.com.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that's just 2 people, Kelly and Robin. If you guys get confused, if you follow me on Facebook, please just send me a question. It's really easy. Just send me a question, and I will help you guys make sure you get those pieces. Congratulations, lady. Congratulations to everybody. And thank you guys so much for being here. We had about 350 people watching. I know it's just going to get bigger and better all the time. We're going to keep on doing these live videos. We're really excited about the opportunity. I love YouTube. I love Jewel School. I love you guys, and I just really appreciate you all being here. Once again, it's Susan Thomas. I'm signing off from our very first live video ever and from the YouTube Jewel School channel, and I'll see you guys again really soon.